and unfortunately it was my last show with Ring of Honor, but we had a show in Toronto where I wrestled Christopher Daniels. It's probably my best match for ROH, one of them anyway, and it just seemed at that point in time like ROH really knew where it was going, and I think that's when Jim Cornette took more of a role with the company, and then it just sucked real bad.
Did you think Jim was out of touch?
Yeah, I mean, I'm for him to think otherwise would just be poppledycock at this point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have to listen to your paying customers, and the fans weren't having it. Not only the internet fans, because sometimes you're never going to impress all the internet fans. It's never going to happen. But I mean, the live crowds, they were silent. I mean, and they were like dwindling down to nothing. It was like dire straits for the company, and it was all because Jim had this weird idea of what the company should be, and I mean, thank goodness that that's no longer an issue. But
folks, I don't give a fuck whether Kenny Omega discovers a cure for fucking cancer. Let me put a fucking period on this goddamn sentence. He had a fucking match with a fucking 9-year-old girl and a fucking blow-up doll in front of fucking fans that bought fucking tickets in public, that lives on the fucking internet on video. He doesn't deserve to be in this business. He deserves to have been blackballed and had his ass fucking kicked by anybody who had a lick of goddamn respect for this fucking profession. Kenny Omega can suck my big fat white fucking dick, because it's a goddamn abortion and a disgrace that he is allowed still to headline in this fucking profession, which would have never happened before 20 years ago when everything went fucking south. He would have had his ass beat and he would have been thrown in a fucking ditch for what he did, exposing the business in front of fucking people. He has no self-respect. He has no goddamn fucking whatsoever, no respect for the fucking profession that he is in. I don't know if he has any fucking talent for anything else, but he should, because he needs to find another fucking line of work. Fuck you, Kenny Omega, for fucking exposing the business and making it look like a goddamn joke. And then he proves he's a fucking idiot by going out there and risking his fucking life, trying to paralyze himself to have a fucking match after he's proven that the goddamn wrestling business is complete bullshit and totally fake.
The Social Injustice Warriors series is not meant to offend, so if you're offended, then refer back to this intro a few times over. Most importantly, the Social Injustice Warrior wants you to remember that his opinions don't matter. They're just the way one cynical asshole sees the world. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it. These videos are satiric reviews, and this channel doesn't claim the rights to any copyrighted footage. So stop trying to pull our videos, jerks.
So Jim Cornette has recently had a little bit of a problem with one Kenny Omega. And he's taken to Twitter a few times basically saying that Kenny is making mockery of the business and, you know, just basically Cosby's Quaaludes. I know exactly who that is. But basically, he's basically been saying that, you know, Kenny Omega and guys like him make a mockery of the business. And even him and Lance Storm, I think, took to sharing like a GIF of the match or some shit like that and commenting on it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. A lot of people and a lot of wrestling fans consider Jim Cornette to somehow be the voice of reason. To be...
in wrestling.
Yeah, in wrestling. To be one of these like prolific speakers who knows the ins and outs of the business. Jim Cornette is a fucking loon. Okay? I'm sorry. For years and years and years, I thought that I loved Jim Cornette. And at the end of the day, I realized that I don't love Jim Cornette. I just fucking hate Vince Russo. Jim Cornette is almost just as bad. He's just the opposite extreme. If Vince Russo is extremely like new age and of stupidity, then he's the fucking Jim Cornette is old age stupidity. All right, Jim Cornette is the same guy who's saying that because Kenny Omega does a couple flips in a match, he's ruining the business. But Jim Cornette is the same dude who walks out to the ring with Paul Lee by his side and introduces him as the real Nature Boy. I mean, there's nothing. I have never heard of something more hypocritical in my life. And just had so many people, like, don't get me wrong, he's one of the best fucking managers of all time. And you cannot take that away from Cornette. I love his in-ring character. But the fact that that character doesn't end in ring, pretty annoying.
Yeah, so Jim Cornette constantly talks shit in regards to like these wrestlers who like do all these like flips and shit or whatever, and I understand that. I get where he's coming from, because he talks about how, you know, wrestlers are you know, fucking up their bodies more because they're taking more dangerous bumps. That I understand, but to say that, like, you know, when Kenny Omega does like a match where it's like comedic and he says, "Oh, well, that's not wrestling," it's like, dude, you can't, like, you really can't dictate what wrestling is or isn't, because at the end of the day, what wrestling is entertainment. As long as the people, yeah, but if you're it doesn't even matter. If the people are entertained and they're watching, then that's wrestling. Anyway,
Jim Cornette, always been entertaining. I've always appreciated some of his opinions, but what you got to realize is that, like, Jim Cornette is not a rite of passage. Like, it's not like if it comes through his mouth, then it's the words of the wrestling gods.
Yeah.
He has been wrong a lot of times. One time, he thought it would be a great idea if the NWA invaded WWE. And you know, that failed very, very quickly. Very quickly. Another time, he said that Kevin Owens would never make it in the business. He wouldn't draw a fucking dime. I think we all know who Kevin Owens is, right?
Yeah.
So, there you go. I can't stand the notion that this guy is like the go-to wrestling guy in terms of opinions. I think that a lot of the time his opinions are, I don't want to say invalid, but, you know, behind. They're behind.
Look like Vince Russo. I have Jonathan here too.
I know, I can hear him a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes I honestly think that Vince Russo had some better ideas than Jim Cornette. I would say to his face too, just to piss him off, because the son of a bitch doesn't like Vince.
Well, see, the thing is that, like, Vince Russo actually did have some good ideas. A lot of people don't remember those good ideas because Vince Russo has had a lot more bad ideas. But I mean, no, Vince Russo definitely did have some good ideas. He wouldn't have been brought into WCW with the amount of power he had if he didn't have good ideas. And the thing is that, and this is the truth though, I don't know a major company that would allow Jim Cornette to come into power the way that Vince Russo came into power in WCW, ever, at any point in time. So I think that's another thing that gets under Jim Cornette's skin, is that this guy, Vince Russo, came in, grabbed the business by the balls, and he had them there for a while, and he just did nothing with it. He did not milk that cock dry.
Yeah.
And Jim Cornette's like, I could have got every last bit of milk out of that. I could have yanked that cow till it came home.
Is that now instead he had to deal with TNA?
You know what? But okay, Vince Russo, not Vince Russo, Jim Cornette. I liked it. I thought that Jim Cornette had an ideal role in TNA in terms of being an on-screen. Because, like, let me tell you something about Jim Cornette is that I think a lot of the time the reason that people give him the amount of credibility that he has is because Jim Cornette has this way of making things seem credible. Like they would give him the stupidest gimmicks to try to get over. It's like, oh, you have to go out there and explain why we're having a tag team match, a tag team title match with a six-man tag, and one of them is a woman, and then explain how we're gonna have a fucking electrified steel cage where you have to wear rubber gloves to escape. You know, like. They would give him the dumbest fucking shit to go out there and announce, and somehow he would take that and make it seem somewhere in between credible and tolerable. You know what I mean? Like in your mind, you still be like, okay, that's a dumb idea. That sounds really dumb, doesn't it? But like the way he said it, you would have to think about it.
The way he sold it, he was a good salesman.
Yes, he was a very good salesman. So I thought he was really great in that role, especially because Vince Russo was booking at the time, or was one of the bookers at the time. and they were coming up with really dumb gimmick ideas. I thought it was great to have Jim Cornette go out there and explain everything that's good. So here's what you need to know. You know what I mean? He was good at that. And he was great as a, like, GM type role. But holy fuck, I never want to hear that guy give his opinion on anything again. I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying I personally never want to hear that fucking guy give his opinion again.
He's the old, like, annoying ass, nagging ass grandpa of wrestling.
Yeah.
I tell you what, in my good old days, we used to take chair shots to the head. No good cushions. Oh. Pure American fun.
Pure American steel to the head.
It was all good before the and that's when we had to cut him off.
Okay, Grandpa
He
Cornette,
came in.
time to go to bed now.